Sean Payton might be the winningest coach in NFL history in the month of October, but I think we are entering into his favorite time of the year, the time of year where he stacks back-to-back-to-back winning moves that are going to take this Denver Broncos team from a first-round playoff out to a deep playoff contender. We're going to break down free agents on the block who Sean Payton could bring in and just revitalize this team and take us to the next level. Who are some names off of the block because they got signed by their team? That and way more in this video. If you're new to the channel, I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan named Ben. Helps me in the YouTube algorithm out a ton if you would smash that like and subscribe button, and let's dive in. So we are entering into about a week from right now, we start the NFL's legal tampering period, and legal and tampering are two words that just do not go together like, I don't know, humble and Russell Wilson, or fun to listen to Patrick Mahomes interview, I'm him, or like a normal size forehead and Peyton Manning, or a non-murdery tight end for the Patriots. I don't know. Those words are very, very strange, but starting a week from right now, the Denver Broncos are able to talk to potential free agents who they can bring in. And we know this is when Sean Payton takes a good team and makes it a great team. It was this time a year ago that everyone was doubting the Brandon Jones move to move on from Justin Simmons and get Brandon Jones. We are now getting some advanced analytics that out of the PFF score for Brandon Jones last year was a 90.1 in coverage last year, and that he was second out of 170 qualifying safeties when you measured it. So you just see Sean Payton stack those winning moves. Malcom Roach, bringing him in, the trade for John Franklin Meyer, a winning move. Even like a Cody Barton move, ended up being a fantastic move. So this is when Sean Payton makes those winning moves, and it's a very, very exciting time. One of the moves that you're hearing some chatter around is that the Eagles have already cut their Super Bowl champion corner, Darius Slay. And so you're hearing a lot of people say, like, hey, let's bring him in and pair him with a Patrick Surtain. However, I think we are definitely sleeping on just the talent level that we have with our corners. And I think that I kind of agree with what I've seen from Sarah Bettinger, that of every single position that we have, the Broncos cornerback room is insanely deep. And you're talking about like even seeing Chris Abrams-Drain step up and get an interception in that game against the Browns. And he's like fourth down on that depth chart. We actually already have McMillan signed to next year. Like he's one of those weird things where he is like a ERFA, not just like a straight up unrestricted free agent. So the Denver Broncos are going to have him on the roster. It's just deciding, like, is he on the roster for like the long term, or is he just back next year on a 1-year deal that will only cost the Broncos $1 million to keep him? But I'm extremely high on Riley Moss, extremely high on McMillan. Obviously, we have the best corner in football, and then I feel really good about Chris Abrams-Drain, and so the Broncos are in a fantastic position there. So as we are seeing that the Eagles have cut a Super Bowl winner, there's some excitement there, and a lot of people on Twitter saying like, hey, let's jump on that. I think that's a position that the Broncos can pass on and then put all their eggs in other baskets. Sean Payton has talked about each offseason is like you dump a puzzle face down and you rebuild that team. And I think that the corner part of the puzzle is already built. Literally, the corner of the puzzle is done. That's the hardest part to get done. The quarterback part of that puzzle is done. So let's worry about inside linebacker. Let's worry about another safety. And then let's find some offensive weapons for Bo Nix. And I think that is definitely what is going to happen as we move on here. We are hearing some interesting news and chatter about free agents that'll be out there and players who will be up for a trade. We know Sean Payton needs to find the joker role, that tight end or that running back who can be flexed out in coverage or line up in the backfield. And it looks like the Raiders are going to be trading away their second tight end once they went out and got Brock Bowers. Michael Myers, we did not see a ton of him last year because he was dealing with some off-the-field issues that really never saw the light of day. There are a ton of rumors about what that could have entailed, if it was family issues or other issues, but we never saw him. He was a very, very serviceable tight end. I have bigger dreams for the Broncos than just trading for a backup tight end. I think we can do much, much better than that. One of the players who definitely we will not be getting is T Higgins. So there was a ton of chatter about like T Higgins' connection to Bo Nix and that after the game, that overtime game with the Cincinnati Bengals, seeing Bo Nix and T Higgins covering their mouth and talking, and a lot of people were hyped on that. The Bengals have officially offered a franchise tag to T Higgins. And as you're seeing from a ton of former NFL players, they're saying he is not happy about this. All he did was announce it on Twitter with just the word tag in undercase. He's not happy with that. There's no long-term guarantee. If you're just playing on a 1-year franchise tag, that's not like the long-term money that he was hoping for. And while it's a awesome payday for him this year, that is definitely not the way to build a franchise through tagging. We've seen that blow up in the face of the Cowboys. And so I think knowing that we're going to be vying with the Cincinnati Bengals for playoff position for a long time, I love this because it's not a cap-friendly way for their team to be doing business as well. Franchise tag is one of the worst things you can do for their cap, and they're cutting players on their team and trying to trade away defensive players to make room for this and Jamar Chase. So this is great that he was tagged there. And so he is definitely off the table for the Denver Broncos. And so the talk becomes, all right, so is it a Chris Godwin type deal? Is it a Cooper Kupp type deal if he ends up getting cut from the Rams next week? But I think it is all about putting our eggs in the basket of like, let's use free agency to find a defender. We saw this year that Jared Verse was one of the highest, I think he was the highest drafted defensive player in the entire draft, and he stepped up and made a decent impact on that team, but nowhere near the impact on that team that you see a Brock Bowers make on the team or a Ladd McConkey make on that team. So I think it is much easier for a highly drafted player to make an impact on offense as a rookie than it is to make an impact on defense. So I would love it if the Broncos use free agency to upgrade this defense, use the draft to upgrade quick hitting offense that can make Bo Nix just absolutely explosive. And so we are hearing that we have a plethora of options there for an inside linebacker to kind of pair next to a Singleton. Is that a Drew Sanders, or is that Singleton, Drew Sanders, and then we end up getting a Nick Bolton from the Chiefs, which would be a double whammy and a double benefit, because not only are we increasing our defensive prowess through a Pro Bowl inside linebacker, but we're also taking him away from our biggest rival. Is it Zach Bond, who was a runner-up for the Defensive Player of the Year from Philly? That could be a massive add. And then what we're hearing is that Dre Greenlaw also is going into a little contract dispute there with the 49ers. They need to get young. They are in some massive cap issues and need to clear up space for Brock Purdy. And so could we end up getting a Dre Greenlaw, who, when he's healthy, is probably one of the best inside linebackers in all of football. Either way, you were talking about 4 swings there at when it's talking about at bats for Sean Payton of massively upgrading this team. He's got 4 swings here to hit 1 home run, and knowing that he's done this before, and all of the free agents that he made last year made massive impacts on this team and got us to the playoffs. And so we trusted him last year, and he showed us and proved to us that our trust in him was warranted. So we just got to do it again. And I don't think any of us were jumping around our houses giving high fives about Brandon Jones. And now if he were to leave our team, we'd be devastated. And so we just got to trust Sean Payton and George Payton to be scouting all of these options and finding who is next year's Brandon Jones, who we're going to look at PFF and be like, oh my goodness, can you believe that the Broncos like just absolutely got Nick Bolton or Zach Bond or Dre Greenlaw? Because we've got a ton of options there, and that's very, very exciting. Other thing could be if the Rams do indeed move on from Cooper Kupp and cut him, that could be a fantastic thing. Or might the Broncos be able to trade but have the Rams pay the bulk of it so that we still, I'd be fine giving up like a 5th round draft pick like we've seen in other deals, but have the Rams pay the bulk of his salary so that we still have all the cap space to go out and get more defenders. I'd be thrilled with that. I think that opens up the field quite a bit for Bo Nix, and especially the middle of the field. So that'll be very, very interesting. Last reason to be wildly hyped, I just saw a Twitter battle between a Jacksonville Jaguars fan and a Broncos fan about how they were so hyped about the generational talent of Trevor Lawrence and that Bo Nix is not good or something like that. And this guy just absolutely destroyed him with this tweet. And it's wild to me to see what Bo Nix did in his rookie year with not a ton of offensive talent around him, without a single running back to get 100 yards in the entire season, with having a couple rough games at the start there, that Trevor Lawrence in all of his years, even though they've had a ton of talent there in Jacksonville for him to throw to, has never had more than 25 touchdown passes, and Bo Nix had 29 as a rookie. Trevor Lawrence has played 4 years in the NFL, has only made the playoffs once of those 4 years, and Bo Nix did it his first year. So the future is insanely bright. The Broncos have $50 million in cap space. Sean Payton is going to find the next Brandon Jones, the next Malcom Roach, the next Cody Barton that make us be like, oh my goodness, we are back. And then he's going to clean up the draft like he did last year, and that's something we should all believe in. Oh, that wasn't even close. I just nailed the ceiling. What a disappointment.